The government's 100-day policy commitments across ministries include legislative reforms. Allow me to turn to government's legislative program for 2024. In 2024, with bills where His Excellency announced him, Mineral Resources Bill 2024, that's now in your office, Mr. Speaker. National Building Standard Bill 2024, that's also now on notice. And Special Economic Zone Bill 2024, that has just been, the inquiry has just been completed, and reporting secretary still for completing yet. So those three were announced Law 2024. And the others, Law 2024, that were announced by His Excellency was Citizenship by Investment Bill 2024. We've had no update on this one, so perhaps the Minister would like to update the House. And then the Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Bill 2024, announced too. Let's hear some update, Lord Minister. The Value Added Tax Bill 2024 was also announced. Let's hope to hear an update, Lord Minister. The State-Owned Enterprises Bill 2024, Public Service Bill 2024, Civil Registration Bill 2024, Provincial Government Amendment Bill 2024, Immigration Bill 2024, and Forest Timber Utilization Bill 2024. Those were announced in 2024, and I think the House would appreciate an update. Lower now, Olketa Bilia Kasim. So on government's legislative program, Law 2024, the 2024 speech by His Excellency made 12 legislative commitments aimed to retool economic mechanisms, was the way to put it, and redefine institutional operations and address specific sectoral dysfunctions. One might call this GNUT's blueprint for national reform. But reform announced, Mr. Speaker, is not reform executed. Government must be judged by both what it says and what it does, and in some cases by what it does not do. In 2024, sir, none of the bills announced in the legislative program were passed in the year 2024 itself. 3 of the 12 bills received progress updates in Parliament during the motion of sine die. These 3 bills, of course, now sit in Parliament, also me talem first time, and the compliance issues raised by the Honourable Prime Minister, I think, are pertinent, and I think a ruling from yourself, Mr. Speaker, on compliance with those orders 43 and 44 by Hemi help him government to be more efficient and to know what to look forward to before Orketa submitting bills come law office below, so that we are not being held in abeyance, and bills committee is able to proceed a little bit more efficiently also on bills as they are placed on notice. Sir, the remaining 9 bills that were announced in 2024, you mean no sabe anything loget yet. There are no clear timelines or implementation plans outlined at the close of Parliament last year, and there's nothing in His Excellency's 2025 speech on those as well. Of the 9 remaining bills, sir, 8 are not new proposals. The Citizenship by Investment was first announced in 2020 speech from the throne, with a commitment to present it to Parliament, to Cabinet. The MSME bill, sir, was also flagged for tabling in Parliament in the final quarter of 2020. The VAT bill was announced for introduction in 2023. The Public Service Bill was promised for Parliament by the second quarter of 2020, and then again in 2022. The Provincial Government Amendment Bill was initially expected in 2020, then rescheduled for 2022. Then fall down, you know, where I'm going now. The Immigration Bill, sir, was reported to have undergone review as early as 2020. The Forest and Timber Utilization Bill, sir, was scheduled for introduction in 2021. deferred to 2022 and then pushed again to 2023. Sir, it is clear government must do better. If His Excellency had looked at previous addresses by his predecessors, he might have raised doubts as to whether government's announcements match work on the ground to deliver. Mr. Speaker, this complete absence of progress on government's legislative program, especially for bills which have already had much work done on them and form part of the current government's 100-day policy, cannot be excused easily. It reflects a failure in leadership and capacity. The inertia shows a lack of political will and bureaucratic incapacity. Progress in pieces, Mr. Speaker, still points to government failure in the whole. Sir, the public expects and rightly deserves not only good policy intentions but visible delivery. When delivery falters, sir, confidence in government diminishes. Sir, this paradox strikes at the heart of government's credibility. There is desire without discipline. The spirit is willing, you might like to say, Mr. Speaker, but the flesh is weak. The flesh in bureaucratic, institutional, and political mechanisms. And weakness in government, sir, is never morally neutral or politically benign. Unfulfilled promises harm more than just the legislative schedule. They become signals of indifference to public hopes and needs. Sir, in his 2025 address, His Excellency announced a reduced legislative program, just 9 bills this year, down from the 12 bills he announced in 2024. Notably, Mr. Speaker, 4 bills from the 2024 agenda have disappeared without explanation. In their place, 2 new additions have been made, the Environment Bill and Electricity Amendment Bill. This shrinking list, Mr. Speaker, alongside the government's persistent failure to deliver on past commitments, reinforces, sir, the perception that legislative ambition is retreating rather than advancing. Further, it paints a picture of changing priorities, or worse, a government without direction. Further, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency announced that the revenue sharing bill is being drafted. It remains unclear, sir, whether this is an entirely new proposal or a revival of the bill that was shelved in 2019 pending further consultations. His Excellency also noted, sir, that the long-awaited CDF regulations, crucial for the implementation of the CDF, will only come into effect in the second quarter of 2025. These two, sir, further illustrate the pattern of delay and uncertainty and ambiguity that has come to define government's overall legislative performance. Sir, what must be done now is not that complicated. The Prime Minister, sir, must insist on ministerial accountability and responsibility. Each minister must report on bills with measurable updates. There must be strict deadlines for bills and consultations. Legislative planning should be coordinated across all responsible ministries. It should prioritize outcomes, not just the optics. Ministers, sir, must work and take an interest in delivering a government policy and legislative program. Sir, I think we must cut down the overseas trips too. I think it will take him up too much time here. Make ministers can spend more time working on these important priorities. The people expect it, sir, and the people deserve it. Mr. Speaker, Parliament must insist on progress from the Executive continuously. No bill should be allowed to disappear in silence. Half measures must not be accepted as signs of progress. Public institutions, Mr. Speaker, are too important to be treated recklessly. Parliament, and more importantly, government, bears a responsibility to build a culture where accountability is always unavoidable. Only then, sir, can reform agendas achieve real impact and value. Government must not take the attitude, Mr. Speaker, oh well, we didn't deliver, so be it. No more, Mr. Speaker. Nor should ministers take the attitude that delivery is solely the responsibility of public servants, and therefore public servants now should be blamed for the lack of delivery. No more, Mr. Speaker. An important executive government, political government, let me take primary responsibility. Sir, the only substantive legislation brought to Parliament last year, apart from the Supplementary Appropriation Bill and the 2025 Appropriation Bill, was the Constitution Amendment Constituent Assembly Bill 2024. Sir, even though the government had the whole year to convene the Constituent Assembly, the Prime Minister delayed it until just days before its constitutional deadline, before attempting to seek amendments using a defective bill. It was, sir, a poorly drafted piece of legislation, riddled with errors, omissions and gaps. Really, sir, it had no place being passed by Parliament in the form in which it was presented. In his 2025 address, sir, His Excellency confirmed that government's intention to reintroduce the bill to Parliament. Sir, if this was meant to say that the government will reintroduce the same bill, then I am extremely disappointed, and we haven't learned from that situation end of last year. As I urged the government last year, sir, this matter ought to be addressed early in this new year, and our position on this matter is clear. We will not support the same legislative process that made a mockery of the Constitution. What we do support has been stated plainly and publicly. First, government must come with a bill to repeal the Constitution Amendment Constituent Assembly Act 2023. Second, it must bring forward a new separate Constitution Amendment Bill that empowers Parliament to enact appropriate legislation to establish and govern a Constituent Assembly. Such legislation would then grant regulation-making powers to the Prime Minister to ensure the smooth functioning of the Constituent Assembly. This, sir, is in line with our long-held legislative scheme and makes a lot of sense. I urge the government, sir, to take this suggestion on board. This is a constitutional matter of national significance. It must not be treated as it was in 2024. Sir, the process must be lawful, inclusive, and worthy of the constitutional import it carries. Anything less smacks of a mockery of our Constitution and process to determine the draft federal Constitution. I offer, Mr. Speaker, to sit with the Prime Minister to agree a pathway forward on this matter before the government proposes legislation on it. I must make it clear, Mr. Speaker, that the opposition supports the need to bring the draft federal Constitution to a final determination. However, how we do that is equally important.